Hello family and friends. Today Janice is going to be cleaning up, doing a little pruning and some maintenance on some flowers that she got. We went to go get some soil and she saw these rescue plants and just had to have them. She knows that she can bring them back to life, and this side, let's check her out.
Good morning.
See, these plants are a little dried out. The leaves are a little crispy, and once they forget to water them or don't water them enough, they just sit them in another area and just stop watering them completely. And over here we have some that look even worse. You see how some of these leaves look kind of burnt out, and you know, some of them are saggy. So what we're going to do is go through and deadhead, do some deadheading, cleaning up some leaves, and we're going to separate these pots and put them in the bed. These here don't look as bad, but they still need some attention. Little crispy leaves there, and you want to get all the leaves from touching the soil to avoid rot. And these geraniums here, these were just not watered enough, and they put them in a section and just stopped watering them all together. So Janice stepped in to the rescue. She even has her cute little pruners, look. Nice flowery pruners. Flower pattern up there. I tease her about her pruners being clean because they're never being used, but clean pruners are a good thing. You want to make sure your pruners are clean, and so that you don't transfer any type of disease. She's clipping off the spent blooms, burnt leaves, or leaves that are touching the soil. The maintenance on this one was obvious. You can see what needs to be done here.
Burnt leaves. And I just go in and just give them new life, because they deserve it. They're still pretty regardless. See, this is spent. Snip it off.
And look at these buds here that haven't opened. So put my hand behind here so it doesn't focus on anything else. See, that one hasn't opened yet. Then there's other buds here. So as she's clipping off the burnt leaves and spent blooms, that sends the nutrients to other parts of the plant to encourage growth. So when you have leaves that are on the soil and starting to rot, that will cause the whole plant to rot. So as she cleans them up, I'm moving them over to this other table. And we also have some geraniums here. Now you can see this geranium looks a little scraggly and has a burnt leaf on the bottom, a couple burnt leaves, and the soil is extremely dry. The soil is so dry it's separating from the pot. See that? That right there is a sure indication of dry soil. So I'm going to go through and clip off these leaves, So as she finishes them up, we move them to this table. Now these geraniums are either one or two things. Either they're root bound or just underwatered. Now when you have a plant that's root bound and the pot is just filled with roots, there's no room for water and it suffers. So what we're going to do is just clean them up and get them into the ground. These are all full sun plants, and there's a storm that's pretty close to us heading this way, and this is a nice day to work on these because it's nice and breezy and the sun is not beating down on us. Yeah, these zinnias take 6 or more hours of sunlight. They're full sun plants, and you water them twice a week, more often when it's dry. The mature size is from 12 to 15 inches high, and the spacing is from 12 to 15 inches apart. So with that spacing at 15 inches, they will just start to touch and will give you a nice full looking bed. See, this one is really dry. You can see how the soil is separating from the pot in the shape of the pot. You can see my pruners are just laying there, but I'm about to jump in and help because she's just finishing them up and moving right along. We're going to clean these up and tuck them in different areas to brighten up our flower beds. These little pots that she's cleaning up, these geraniums, even before they bloom, the cluster is very nice to look at. Whoops, I'm gonna trip my tripod over. It's very nice to look at. These little pots here, these little 4-inch cans, will get as big as this one. Look at that. Look at these big cluster of deep red blooms. Absolutely beautiful. And while she's working on these, I might separate this one so that we can get down in between and clip some of these burnt leaves out, and so it'll perk on up. Once we get these burnt, broken stems out and the leaves and spent blooms, this thing will perk right on up. We got them yesterday, and they were looking a lot worse than this. So we watered them, gave them a chance to perk up, and we could see what blooms were still good and what's gonna get pruned off. I'm gonna remove this hanger from this hanging basket so we can get in here and actually see what's going on and get it cleaned up. Okay. See, I had another video where I separated one of these pots and got like 5 plants out of it. You can see that it's beginning to get root bound. Got this little tray here that stops the soil from coming out. And I'm going to gently separate this thing. The soil is still soaked from yesterday. And I'm separating it so that we can get between here and clean it up to be pruned. Okay. Just gonna go in and start pruning away these spent blooms and burnt leaves. Yeah, this one here, this plant here, they just moved it to another area and stopped watering them. And once I do this, she'll perk right on up. We had a storm on the way. Right now it's nice and cloudy and pretty out here. Well, we can only enjoy that for so long because the storm is close. When you're potting a plant, you want the surface of the plant an inch, the surface of the soil that the plant is in, an inch below the top of your pot, so that when you water, the water doesn't just spill out. I'm gonna repot these until we put them in the bed. Getting them cleaned up before the storm. And Janice just finished that tray of geraniums. And now she's working on this one here. Out of the whole group, I think this one is the most stressed. But when we do this follow-up, you're going to be amazed at how these are going to come back. I separated the pot so that it's easier to get in and do the pruning that's necessary. You might want to take that all the way back. That's right here. Yeah.